You're listening to Tassie Encounters Moments on Faith FM, and we're coming to you from Tasmania right across Australia. Each weekday at 9 a.m, you can hear what the Bible says about past, current and future events. You can learn how to study the Bible more effectively. You can get to know who God is, why we're here and where we're going. And you can experience personal encounters with Jesus. I'm your host, Jason Cook, and today we have a very familiar voice in the studio, Lawson Walters. How are you today?
Mate, I'm stoked. I am so stoked to be here in the Tasmania studio for Faith FM. Of course, if you listen to Faith FM, if you're a regular listener, you would have heard me on The Breakfast Show for some years now. I've been hanging out on The Breakfast Show, spending time there, but down here in Tassie, and really happy to be here in the studio with the one and only Jason Cook.
What brings you to Tassie?
Such a good question. I'm actually down here on my honeymoon. I recently got married and, living my best life. I got married to the love of my life. Shout out Shanna. But yeah, we're having a great time down here. We've spent some time out in the Human area. We climbed, actually yesterday, the day before we were recording this, we went and climbed, Hart's Peak, which was beautiful. My legs just like so shot after that. So we're spending time on a honeymoon. We're relaxing, spending time together, but also getting out and about and doing some activities.
I can't remember what sort of day it was. Was it a clear day yesterday?
It was mostly clear. Yeah, no rain, but there was kind of, once we got to the top, man, it was a howler. Just so much wind.
Yeah.
And it went from all of a sudden, 1 second it was clear, then it would be cloudy and just a complete whiteout. You're right up on this mountain, basically in a spot where if the clouds are coming by, the clouds are like passing by you. It was awesome though. Yeah. It was a good time.
I've spent a bit of time up on Mount Wellington. It's amazing how different it can be.
Dude.
Down here it can be 20 degrees and up there it can be 5 or 8 degrees,
Well,
and
man.
the wind, it really belts across the top of the mountain.
Went up on Mount Wellington as well. Spent some time in Hobart so far. We've still got some time here in Hobart and in Tasmania getting around. I'm going to go up to Cradle at some point. But yeah, down here enjoying my honeymoon and had a chat with a colleague of ours, actually, David Leo, who's I know hangs out here on Tassie Encounters a little bit at some times. And yeah, he was like, "Hey, you got to come into the studio." And so here I am joining in,
working on your honeymoon.
Hey, no, it's for the love of the game. It's for the love of the game more than anything else.
Well, I hope you enjoy the time here as much as you have in the rest of the tripping around Tasmania.
For sure.
What's been your favourite Tasmanian experience so far? And have you been down here plenty of times before? Or?
So no, I haven't been here since I was probably 5 or 6.
Okay.
When I was 5 or 6, came down here with my family, saw Cradle Mountain, a couple things, but no, I haven't been down here since then. My wife Shanna, she's spent some time down here, and so we're seeing a few of the sites that she's been to before, as well as exploring some new areas. I would say probably I believe it's called Hastings Cave. Oh man, just incredible, the formations there. We're having a look around. And
did you go in the hot springs as well then?
We did. We saw the hot springs, walking around. So yeah, I think that would probably my favorite memory so far that we've been making down here in Tassie. The cave, Hastings Cave, as well as Hart's Peak. Just seeing the nature. I think that was the big thing for us, what we wanted to do on our honeymoon. Yeah, I think there's a whole spectrum of things that you could do on a honeymoon. And ultimately we decided with nature, mountains, beautiful weather, for down here in Tassie. We've just been loving it.
Awesome. Well, as you are going to be here for our week of short programs this week.
Yeah.
Tell us what you'd like to share with us.
Yeah, sure. So I had a chat with you over the phone, just texting and whatnot, and decided that we would talk a little bit about my story, how I've become a Christian, and particularly now I'm working as a pastor, working at Faith FM for some years now. I've been working for the church, or for churches, since I was about 18 years old. And a lot of people hear that and they think and assume, man, this guy, I would often get questions, particularly when I was 18 working for the church. I'll get questions like, is your dad a pastor? Which church is he at? Like, where does your family go to church? These kinds of things. But my background is completely non-churched, I would say. My family are really secular. My parents. There is some interesting things in our family history regarding religion, but in terms of my growing up, my only exposure to religion was mostly, and particularly Christianity, was mostly through school. So just through going to private school. Most of the private schools here in Australia are faith-based. But yeah, in terms of my family history, it's really interesting. My mum's side, nominal Catholics. My mum's maiden name is Fitzpatrick, which, Irish Catholics.
Catholic, yeah.
That's right. My dad's side, my granddad, he was actually an orphan. He was orphaned. He retained his last name and his, he knows his family tree and whatnot, but spent some time in an orphanage as a kid. And we're talking like he was born in 1922. So over 100 years ago now. In the orphanage, in Sydney. He grew up in a Catholic orphanage, and then ended up going to World War II. And he was a double diamond commando. He was fighting over in the jungles in PNG and in Borneo. Got malaria, scrubtitis, shrapnelled and shot. Was behind enemy lines, basically dropped off in the jungle. Hey, go and stop the Japanese. And he come out of that experience. He survived, had 10 kids, the ninth of which is my dad. And he come out of that experience actually as an atheist, as a rare my dad was born in 63, a rare 1960s atheist.
That's interesting. There's that saying that says there's no atheists in foxholes, and you'd think, having been through that experience, it might turn you the other way.
That's right. I think for him, his reflection on religion and Christianity was, hey, religion's all about control. This is the things he would say to my dad. Religion is about control. And I think particularly, I can't, speculate too much about his early life, but growing up in a Catholic orphanage and maybe some of the things that he went through or was exposed to through that, I don't know. But there is, speculation among my family that maybe something, bad happened, had some bad experiences. And ultimately, the outcome of that is that my granddad wasn't necessarily a bad guy. He had 10 kids. He loved his family. He provided. But yeah, those were kind of the reflections of Christianity. Like my mom, coming from a nominal Catholic family, she left the Catholic Church when she was like 12 or 13. So,
as many sort of do.
That's right.
Even though they might still identify.
Yeah, that's right. So ultimately, she's out of the Catholic Church at a young age. My dad grew up in an atheistic home. My dad wouldn't call himself an atheist, maybe, an agnostic. But that's kind of the spiritual environment that I grew up in, was in the home, no religion. At school and whatnot, I had many Christian friends. I got invited to youth group occasionally to go along, which I enjoyed. It's fun hanging out, eating pizza on a Friday night or whatever it may be. But yeah, I was going along occasionally. I had a good perception of Christians. I was never a militant atheist myself. I had a good perception of Christians. I liked Christian people. I went to Christian schools. I liked the Christian ethos. I thought that they were really nice people. I went to really good Christian schools as well. Shout out, Hunter Christian School up in Newcastle, like a really fantastic Christian school with a really, good attitude and good philosophy towards teaching and bring children through school and whatnot. So yeah, look, great times I had in my youth interacting with Christians, but that wasn't necessarily my thing. Growing up though, I grew up in Newcastle. I'm a proud Novocastrian. My dad is a proud Novocastrian as well. That's the Latin name for someone from Newcastle. Right. And
you're actually back there now, but we're going to talk about that later.
That's right. I'm back in Newey. Yeah. But grew up in Newcastle. And yeah, for us growing up, it was, as a family, spending time together. My sisters are I have 3 sisters, so I'm the only boy. It's me. It goes girl, girl, boy, girl. So I'm the third oldest. But my sisters are all exceptional people. My dad was a businessman, a boilermaker by trade, turned into a company owner, businessman. Growing up, quite wealthy. Not super duper wealthy, but we were well off enough to support a lot of the ambitions of us as kids. My older sister was, an Australian championship level sailor. My second oldest sister was a state level swimmer. And then my younger sister was a national level rower. And so
pretty high achievers
That's right.
in the sports type field.
That's right.
Yeah.
Really ambitious. My second older sister was ducks in school. My youngest sister was on a scholarship to a high level grammar school to do rowing. Like we were achievers. We came from, like, my dad, growing up with 9 brothers and sisters, like, come from nothing. He built a life for himself. He kind of instilled into us, a drive and a push to be able to achieve. And we really took that in as kids. And for me, and we're going to talk about this a little in our next section tomorrow. But for me, where that really hit home for myself was motorbike racing. That would be the sport that I would kind of take into, or the area of expertise. Now, for my sisters, in terms of they've all, graduated uni and in their careers, and actually, I'm in a career now as a pastor. But I would kind of take that sport ethos and that wanting to achieve to another level. We're going to talk about that again tomorrow. But yeah, look, I grew up in a family that, hey, had its problems, had its issues, and we're also going to be talking about that. But unchurched, no perception of Jesus. But what I did know about Jesus, again, if I can reflect, if you would have asked a 13, 14, 15-year-old Lawson about Jesus and what he thought, I thought, hey, Jesus is a good guy. He died for our sins. This is what I knew about him. He said things like, do unto others what you would have done unto yourself.
So you didn't have any objection.
That's right.
To religion, but it just wasn't what you were doing at that time.
It wasn't what I was doing, yeah. And it would take for me to go through some big experiences to ultimately get to that place of seeking and investigating Jesus for myself. And that's what we're going to be exploring, how I sought Jesus, and ultimately I found him in my life.
I'm going to put you on the spot. If you had a question to challenge people wherever they are in their journey at the moment of life, what would that question be?
Oh, great question.
And
hey,
if you can think on the spot, that's great. Otherwise, I'll do the book offer and then we can come back to that.
Look, I would challenge you this. I would say, how much do you really know about Christ, and how much do you really know about his word? These are the things that changed my life. It's so funny coming from my mum from a nominally Catholic background, and that was passed on to me too. At one point I was going to a Catholic school and whatnot. I see a lot of people reflect growing up in that kind of environment of secular but kind of connected to Christianity. They would say something like, oh, I know about the Bible, I know about Jesus, I went to Catholic school, I went to Christian school. That's how I felt about it. But I realized as I started journeying with Christ that I really didn't know him. I really didn't know about his word, and I really didn't know what he was truly offering to me as a person, the way he truly wanted to change my life, which we're going to be talking about. So that's my question. How much do you really know Jesus, and how much do you really know his word?
Yeah, awesome. Our book offer for this week is called A Pause for Peace. This is by Clifford Goldstein. In this book, Clifford identifies the Sabbath, a day of rest, as God's recovery plan for this devastating recession. I'm not sure what recession that he's talking about there.
Well, I think ultimately...
Was it written during the GFC or something?
This is such a good book. I actually suggested this book to Jason. Clifford Goldstein, fantastic writer and speaker as well. I got to hear him some years ago now. He came over to Australia, and he grew up as a secular Jew in America, and then became a Christian, became a Seventh Adventist, and he shares here essentially why the Sabbath is so important, and referring here to the recession, particularly the recession of godliness, the recession of our ability to connect with God, how it is that we can recover the time, and how can we connect with God. A Pause for Peace is all about that. It's a book that you guys definitely want.
Awesome. So true refreshment awaits as you discover the practical joys and spiritual blessings of the nearly forgotten practice of taking a day out. So that's what this book's about. We encourage you to text in the code TEM20 to our show number 0488 880891 to claim a Pause for Peace. As we go out, this is The Corner Room with Psalm 127. We'll speak to you again tomorrow where we learn more about Lawson.
Unless the Lord builds a house, those who build it labor in vain. Unless the in vain, that you rise up early and go late to rest, eating the bread of anxious toil, for he gives to his beloved sleep. Unless the Lord builds a house, those who build it labor in vain. Unless the Lord watches over the city, the watchman stays awake in vain. Behold, children are a heritage from the Lord, the fruit of the womb, a reward. Ooh, like arrows in the hand of a warrior are the children of one's youth. Unless the Lord builds a house, those who build it labor in vain. Unless the Lord watches over the city, the watchman stays awake in vain. Blessed is the man who fills his quiver with him. He shall not be put to shame when he speaks with his enemies in the gate. Unless the Lord builds a house, those who build it labor in vain. Unless the Lord watches over the city, the watchman stays awake in vain. Unless the Lord builds the house, those who build it labor in vain.
This program has been made possible by the support of Adventist World Radio.